people come from all walks of life. They all have lives they lead. Any and all are welcome here to come and chat with me.
Welcome to the show, everyone. Well, my guest is the former artist in residence at the City of Maple Ridge, and she's also an advocate for Moms Stop the Harm, which is something I haven't heard of before, so I'm looking forward to hearing about it. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to meet Kat Wahamaa. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for asking me.
Oh, it's my pleasure, for sure. First of all, I was just reading here that you studied art for social change.
Yes, I just did a Master's of Education at SFU, which I completed in 2018. I've been a community artist, so working with community to do arts project based on issues that they find important in their community, everything from water and the environment to things like our current fentanyl poisoning crisis, for example. So,
Okay,
so that was a program at Simon Fraser University. Yeah.
Oh, I see. Okay. So explain to me though how you do that, how you incorporate your art into those projects.
Okay. So and I mean there's lots of different ways that artists go about this, but artists for sure have been the first to shine a light on some issues in communities. And sometimes they just do it with their own artwork. Whether they're visual artists or musicians or whatever, we certainly have all heard of protest songs, or they actually connect with community members and discuss issues and then talk about how could art be used to highlight that. So I'll use an example around the issue of water. One of the projects I did in Maple Ridge was called Water Body, and it started in terms of a process, working with the Watershed Watch organization and doing just a series of community dialogues on water and what it meant and what the watershed in the area of Maple Ridge meant to them. And then from those discussions, a group of people that were at those dialogues, well, all of the people who attended them were invited to come and work with me to work on a project. And I had created a soundscape using water glasses, you know, the thing that your dad used to do at the dinner table with the water in the wine glass. And the right. So I'd done a bit of a waterscape and composed a piece of music and just written the first verse. And then the group that from those dialogues came together and we talked about what else we'd want to add. People wrote lyrics. It ended up, and we choreographed it with actual movement, dance, which might be a bit of a strong word. It wasn't, but creative movement, and created about a 15-minute performance art piece that incorporated the song and then the acting out of the song, and so various members of the community worked on that. So from young people to a lot of elders were involved in that as well. But so it was a group process. Right. Sort of started with with a little bit of a piece, so that because sometimes, especially with the arts, people go, oh, I don't know how to, so there's a bit of a seed to help get that process going. But we met over several months to craft this and do all kinds of, drama exercises, movement exercises. And so it isn't just kind of sitting down once with people and creating something. It really is a collective. So that was one of the pieces that I did while I was in the city of Maple Ridge as artist in residence.
Sounds fascinating, actually. Now, was this something new, a new concept?
No, I don't think it's a new concept. Artists have been working with community to highlight these issues, like community plays. There's lots of different ways that artists have been working with communities to highlight local issues. And many of them, like with water, that's a global issue.
Yes,
that's a whole issue. And with climate change, et cetera, water and where it is. And if you live in a coastal community or on an island, water is really important because the water sea levels are rising, et cetera, for example. So those were some of the discussions we were having in that group. So it was a local initiative, but it had, you know, global implications.
Right. And of course, the idea is to bring awareness, more awareness, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
So we premiered it at World Water Day in 2015, and then reprised that at Earth Day and at different, you know, places and times in the community, Rivers Day, etc. So it was an opportunity to highlight it.
Very good. So now, is it still out there somewhere where people can go and look at it and see it?
I believe it's probably on the City of Maple Ridge website somewhere.
Oh, I see. Okay.
But yeah, so yeah, it was recorded in one iteration, so there is, and probably you could just Google it and it may come up.
Okay. I just think because it'd be fascinating to watch. At least I would find it fascinating, you know.
Yeah.
But when you said when I read that you were an artist, I wasn't quite sure what form that took. Right.
Well, I'm a songwriter, a musician, a visual artist, working in textiles and theater. So kind of multi.
Yeah, which a lot of artists are.
Yeah. So, and for example, another project was around relating in mission, where I'm also the project coordinator for the Mission Overdose Community Action Team. Last year was masks we wear. So it was all about how we all wear different masks for whether it's our partner, our boss, our kids, and that stigma masks who people are that use substances. And because we were all in the first throes of COVID, everyone was wearing masks. So people actually created these beautiful masks. And then we worked with the Downtown Business Association to actually have those up in the storefronts during International Overdose Awareness Day and the week following.
Right.
So again, another way to raise awareness about, you know, our other public health emergency that doesn't quite get.
No, does that have anything to do with Moms Stop the Harm?
Yes. So Moms Stop the Harm is a Canadian grassroots organization of mothers and others, and obviously fathers and other family members and friends that have been raising awareness about the issue, doing advocacy though at federal and provincial and municipal levels. So the whole issue being that we are in the throes of this health emergency that was declared in our province in 2016, and that's the same year that my son died of fentanyl poisoning.
Oh my goodness.
So that's obviously one of the reasons why I ended up being connected to Moms Stop the Harm. Ultimately, I think they kind of formed in around that same time, but I joined Moms Stop the Harm in about 2017. And so I'm sorry, I've got blinging.
Don't worry about it.
Things. Anyway, so unfortunately, the numbers of Moms Stop the Harm members are growing. It's a club I really didn't want to join, as you know, and our point is we don't want anyone else to have to join this group because they've lost a family member. And so what we're seeking obviously is some real remedies to this that are based in evidence and science, as such as the safe supply initiatives, decriminalization, because that just adds to the stigma and problems, and it doesn't solve anything. And we know we have the evidence in other countries where that has been changed, and the outcomes are so much better. And that's the thing, we don't need to have people, like the numbers of folks dying of fentanyl poisoning, because it is a toxicity in the illicit supply. It isn't people taking too much of a drug. it's poison in the
Yes, what's added to whatever it is.
exactly, and cross contamination. So somebody who thinks they're taking cocaine, it could be contaminated with fentanyl, and it kills them. And you know, it's one thing, I think it's really important that we've been having like the overdose prevention sites, and that's all great, but that's the ambulance at the bottom of the hill, not the prevention, you know, at the top, the fence that stops that from happening in the first place. So yes, so kind of regionally, I work as an advocate, but many people are part of MomsStopTheHarm, and we also have programs such as Healing Hearts and Holding Hope. Healing Hearts is a grief support groups for people that have lost family members in this way, and Holding Hope is for those that still have a family member who's you know, dealing with the issue, and they're you know, hoping to actually find them help and support. And it given the situation, you know, there is grief support out there, but it isn't the same when you've lost a family member. To this particular issue that is in the news, is you're confronted, you can't kind of escape it. It's kind of, what do they call it? There's actually a term for it's a complex grief, because of all of these other layers of things and the stigma attached to it. Lots of people, initially, if they lose a family member, they don't even want to say why they died. And it's a sudden death, right?
Yes.
So, but I think a lot of people that have gone through that are now changing, and they don't want to be ashamed anymore, because it's nothing to be ashamed of. It's a tragedy is what it is. Yeah. And something that is really unnecessary. These are all preventable deaths if we actually did the things that we need to do. So
yes, one of the things you mentioned is like the decriminalization. Like that is one I've never understood.
Yeah.
It made no, like there's no logic to it to begin with, right?
But that's a really bad drug policy, which is about 100 years old, and it's based in, well, a racist sentiment from the time that it was instituted. It was really in BC especially about, you know, opium dens, and all the Chinese people that came to build the railroad, for example, were demonized. And so that's where it comes from. It's not based in any kind of evidence or science. And, you know, there are great organizations out there that are also alongside MomsStopTheHarm, Canadian Association of People Who Use Drugs. So actually drug users themselves having advocacy organizations, which is really important. Canadian Drug Policy is another organization that's actively working in communities and lobbying. But it just makes sense, and it's you know, this is it's just ramping up again in terms of the death toll. And it's like manufacturing intergenerational trauma. So my son was 25 when he died, and he had 2 little boys and as we know, the death of a parent is a traumatic incident. And we also know that for many people that end up having substance use, because everybody takes substances. We're a society of substance users, whether it's coffee or whatever, or buying stuff or porn in our, you know, like all of these things that people madly consume. We've differentiated one thing and said, you know, look at COVID, the liquor stores stayed open. So I can go to I have safe supply. I know I will get a safe, regulated substance that I can take. And we decided that these substances, no, you know, so none of it is rational. And I know that, and unfortunately, many of us, and certainly people of my age, have grown up in the just say no, DARE programs and all of that kind of stuff that again are not evidence-based, but they've created a frame of reference for people that this is bad, as opposed to, and with the opioids, for example, this is bad, and yet we've had, you know, pharma companies that were the harbingers of many people's addictions. And
Yeah. We know for a fact that many people are addicted to legalized drugs.
Yeah. So we're manufacturing this trauma with not only the family members that are traumatized by the loss of a son or a daughter or mother or father, but also all of the first responders.
Right.
They are being traumatized because they are, naloxone's a great thing, but they're bringing people back from the dead daily. And so that trauma then comes also home into their families. And this is just gonna, it's exponential. It's baffling to me what we're not doing to allay this. And it really is, I think, politicians are way behind in terms of what people actually think, because a lot of people think, why are we doing something about this?
Yeah.
And they're thinking they're going to get some backlash.
Yeah.
And, we've legalized marijuana, and nothing really bad has happened.
Yeah.
So anyway, as you can tell, it's a topic I can go on and on about.
Well, I understand that. I'm just thinking about if you, like, I have to watch my weight all the time. I could eat constantly, and if I got really obese, then I would be looked down upon. So like you said, there's certain things that are okay to do, certain things that are not okay. But the fact that, no, being obese, you're not going to be sent to jail for being obese, obviously, right? Whereas drugs, you would be. It's like, and why, like, I never understand why it's so difficult to change old laws that no longer have any relevance, whatever the word is, to today,
Yeah.
What is that about?
Well, what is that about? I don't know, but
Yeah.
that's the thing. We just have to keep bringing it to people's attention and lobbying. But to me, it isn't about a court of public opinion, because we didn't ask the public's opinion on how to deal with COVID.
Right.
We allowed the public health professionals to lead that and to do that, as we should be doing with this health emergency.
Right.
It shouldn't be about,
Nothing to do with politics.
It isn't. It's pretty, there's evidence, there's science, there's countries that are doing much better than we are in this regard. It's astronomical. I mean, just because of the population difference between the US and Canada, it's in the, 80,000, 90,000 people dying. We're at the, 25,000 number mark in Canada over the last 5 years. But in the US, these are figures, I guess, I think, that are annual.
Right.
It's
Now, if somebody wanted to join Mother's,
MomsStopTheHarm. It's just MomsStopTheHarm.com.
MomsStopTheHarm.com. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, great. And so I'll make sure that's included, so people can look it up, at least find out more about it. And, I think a lot of people don't know where to go, don't know who to talk to. And as you say, the stigma makes it even more difficult for parents or children of whatever.
Or siblings.
Yes.
So.
You feel embarrassed, you feel ashamed, and it shouldn't be. I totally agree with you on that one. So is there something you're working on currently other than what you just talked about?
In terms of,
Well,
I am involved in a number of different things. So.
Okay, so can you mention some of the things that you're involved in?
As I mentioned, I am, a songwriter, musician,
Right.
and so my partner and I, Tony Reese. So our name is Kat and Tony, and for example, we just did a recording of Buffalo Springfield's "For What It's Worth" for a video by Jack Emberley about Fairy Creek. And so he went, and he's a journalist, and he went and did some investigation there. And so we recorded this piece to go with the it's on YouTube. So we're engaged in, I mean, we do regular performing, although performing in public is, limited at the moment. But we certainly, as songwriters and performers, we do a lot of pieces that relate to issues of the day, and the environment is one of them. So we're just working on finishing an EP about some of those issues, such as climate change and other things that are going on. I also am part of an organization in Maple Ridge that is peer advocacy and support drug user group, Maple Ridge Street Outreach Society. So we do we have regular meetings with people about their issues, everything from tenancy to proper housing, there's things like that. We also have, where food security is a big issue, so we have meal programs and those kinds of things, and that runs out of Maple Ridge. So it's Maple Ridge Street Outreach Society. And I'm also a grandmother who is really concerned about the future for them. And I spend a lot of time with my grandchildren, but this is what we have to think about. We have to think about the generations beyond ours, and what are we doing with this place, and how do we want to leave it? And being outdoors and being in nature is critically important to children, and then they have an understanding and appreciation of why this is so important to protect. Yeah, with what's going on with we can't afford to lose one old growth tree. We just can't. The value it has to everything from cultural significance to the importance of what it contributes to, the environment and oxygen creation and all of those things. It's another thing that is extremely baffling that we don't want to address with science. Yeah.
Well, thank you. We're out of time, but just stay there for a second. I just want to say thanks again for doing this. And I think it's important to bring awareness to everything that you've talked about. And to the audience, I just want to suggest, check out Moms Stop the Harm. I will put it up so that you can go to the site and find out what it's about. And try not to judge people. You don't know why somebody is the way they are.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. They're just because nobody decides that they're going to be a drug addict. I'm going to grow up to be a drug addict and I'm going to overdose. People don't decide that. It just, for whatever happens to these people, something gets, I don't know how to explain it, but something, could be any one of us, could be any of our children.
Exactly.
Right. Anyway, so thanks for watching, everybody. I hope you'll watch again. If you see this on YouTube, hopefully you'll subscribe. And peace out, everybody.
A sense of community, Chilliwack's a place to be. A sense of community where you're free. Rolling through the mountains, rolling through the valley, rolling through paradise with me. It's multicultural, you're sure to see it all. Chilliwack's a place to be, you'll see. Come party in the park, go dancing after dark. Chilliwack's a place to be, you'll see.